I was diagnosed with diabetes retinopathy. I was very lucky to get really good care once I got this diagnosis, and I had some laser eye surgery performed. Success in that. The doctors were amazing. I was very, very thankful for that. But guess what that did, right? It obviously woke me up. I realized that, what is this diabetes thing? What is it that I need to understand? And obviously I needed to get that blood glucometer out on a regular basis and to get, just to get a routine around really what I was going to do. Because, my motivator at this point was to save my eyesight. Welcome to the Type 1 and Midlife podcast. My name is Melissa Slemp, a certified nutritional health coach and the founder and CEO of Abundant Health with Melissa, where I help women with type 1 diabetes to feel more empowered and live their best life despite their diagnosis. Each week, I will bring conversations and strategies from guest experts and my experience living with type 1 for over 40 years now. So if you're a woman ready to redefine how diabetes can look and feel for you, then the Type 1 and Midlife podcast is the show for you. Just a reminder that nothing you hear on this Type 1 and Midlife podcast should be a substitute for professional medical advice. Please always consult your medical professional before changing your diet, insulin dosages, or healthcare plan. Well, hello and welcome. This is solo episode number 2. So it's just me here sharing some nuggets of information and a little bit of a background story about myself. So today I want to help inspire all the ladies out there on how to thrive with type 1 diabetes after 40. And what I'm going to share today doesn't necessarily always have to fit with women over 40, but this is a guide that I created, and this really came from a need that I was seeing from ladies that I'm meeting and some feedback I'm getting here from the podcast about what they really, really want. So they were asking, what is it that you do? So what is it that I do now living with diabetes for 41 years? So what are my tips and secrets? So I put it together in a simple downloadable guide. And so no need to write down what I'm about to share with you today. You will have access to get this. It'll be linked here in the show notes. So I'm going to start with a story. As you may or may not know, but I was diagnosed in 1982 at the age of 14. And, back then there wasn't a whole lot of information, right? We didn't have internet. We didn't have any access really to educating ourselves. So both myself and my parents, we just kind of rolled with what we thought we knew. So I naturally just hid my diabetes. Again, I wasn't real familiar with anybody else that had type 1. So I felt pretty alone, pretty isolated. So it was something that I could just kind of tuck in my back pocket, go to school every day, do my thing, take my insulin shots, eat what I thought was good, that was fit, that was going to fit into my, what I needed for blood sugar and all that. But, it really did boil down to the fact that I did not even understand what diabetes was. I didn't understand this disease. Again, education was not there. The doctors were very vague about it. It was, even my insulin dosages were based on kind of what I was doing and not necessarily on the results. Again, we didn't even have glucometers back then. So again, no information to really build sound decisions on around care. So downplayed it and I minimized it. And for 10 years, I didn't realize it, but my blood sugars were trending high for about 10 years. So when I was in my mid-20s, and I remember it like yesterday, I was working at a clothing store in downtown St. Augustine, which is where I was now living. And I went to work one day and I could suddenly, I was seeing spots, floaters, had no idea. I had never even been to an eye doctor. So here I was 10 years into a disease, and I didn't even visit the eye doctor on a regular basis. So I was diagnosed with diabetes retinopathy. I was very lucky to get really good care once I got this diagnosis, and I had some laser eye surgery performed. Success in that. The doctors were amazing. I was very, very thankful for that. But guess what that did, right? It obviously woke me up. I realized that, what is this diabetes thing? What is it that I need to understand? And obviously I needed to get that blood glucometer out on a regular basis, and to get, just to get a routine around really what I was going to do. Because, my motivator at this point was to save my eyesight. So that's a pretty big motivator when you're 25. I was newly married, and that was scary. So what did the scariness, and I'm going to get to how all of this is going to lead to the topic today, which is thriving with type 1 after 40. Because again, I was only 25 at this point. But this fear led me to the opposite end of the spectrum, really, when it came to how I was living every day. So I went from never checking my blood sugar to extreme tight control, to the point where I was having numerous low blood sugar episodes. 911 calls were just too often for me and my family, my coworkers, all the different places that this occurred. So guess what that did? It forced me even, obviously it was embarrassing. It was shameful. I was disappointed. I continued to be out of control because I couldn't figure out how I could manage this disease and still live, obviously, and function without putting a burden on both my health and my safety and those around me, but to still feel like I could, at the end of the day, have blood sugar numbers that were going to protect my health and my eyesight. So that went on for probably another 4 to 5 years. And then I had my daughter, Sarah, in 1996. So this was about 4 years after that initial diabetes retinopathy diagnosis. I did get my blood sugars back online. I was strict. I was still too strict, but my A1C was in a good shape, where the pregnancy was okay. This was something that we planned on, to have her. And it was a great pregnancy. Everything progressed really well. But, this mindset that I had, this feeling like I couldn't let go and just trust that I was doing enough, it held on for probably another 10 years. Because I remember my daughter, Sarah, even having instances of having to help her mom, that would be me, out of these low blood sugar episodes. So, and the reason I share this is how important it is just to get a better idea of really what our relationship with our diabetes is. And I am now 56. So again, this is 41 years total. And it took me the first 20 years to really understand what I was going to do with this disease and the level of acceptance and trust. I keep thinking of the word trust because another big part of my journey was inventing, I will say, my relationship with God. And this is an ongoing process for myself as well, because I realized that He is in control. He is going to give me all the tools, just like He is for you as well, for anyone living with this chronic disease or any hardship in life, that He is there for us. He knows what we need. He knows what we can rise above and conquer and figure out. And diabetes is such a good example of that, isn't it? We are tested every day, and we really just need to be able to just wrap our arms around not only who we are and what we're doing, but the fact that we are doing enough. And that's where I have been for probably 15 years now, which is a good place. It's a good place. And I'm not saying I don't backpedal and I don't make mistakes. And I have those times where I'm micromanaging my numbers because, again, I still want to be in really good control. But I'm realizing in the big picture of it all, I am doing enough. And there is no perfect day. There is no perfect blood sugar. Melissa, the type 1, with living with type 1 diabetes, is doing all that she can do. And I'm talking in third person right now, if you didn't pick that up. But anyway, I hope that this helps to inspire you. So this actually inspired me to write an article. I have quite a few articles on my website. That is Abundant Health with Melissa. So please, pop on there anytime and read. Just about every week, I am publishing a new article, different topics, all different areas of life and food and inspiration and faith and exercise, all those things that impact life with type 1 diabetes. So definitely check that out. But one of the articles I did write really points to the ABCs. And this is really about building a stronger foundation. And again, it's taken me years to get to where I am. And that's why I coach and do what I love to do, because I think we can better teach and mentor when we ourselves are living it and feeling it and totally understand where women like you are and really want to be. So the first step, obviously ABCs, is to accept. And this is the key to overcoming diabetes challenges. It really lies in our beliefs and our perspective and that relationship with diabetes. Just embracing the ability to overcome whatever comes across the CGM, whatever comes across the pump, the insulin pump information, all those obstacles that seem to stand in our way from not having to be kind of overwhelmed by the decisions that we do have to make 24/7. So accepting diabetes is part of life. It's not who we are. It doesn't define us, but just accepting that it is here. It's not going away. It is part of what, just like all the other things that you and I both shuffle and do very well at doing that. Some days, again, are harder than others, but that's okay. That's just part of being human in this life. But, just to recognize one's strength, your strength in the ability to manage diabetes, and knowing that if you have a bad day, there's going to be another day. You're going to get another chance. We will always get another chance to dig down, to learn from maybe what didn't work and to apply it, to our next decisions, right? And then the next step, so the ABCs, is to believe. We've got to believe that we can do this. We have to know that we are strong enough. Our mindset, it's amazing what we can tell ourselves and what we can convince ourselves. But once we start to incorporate daily affirmations to reinforce these strengths and how strong and just what you are capable of doing, because you are. You did not get handed a chronic disease because you are weak. This is a true sign of resilience and just true dedication to you and your health and where you want to be, and to thrive. That word thrive just keeps coming out. And, it doesn't really matter what age you're at this point. You might be newly diagnosed, or you might be a warrior like myself. But these tips really do apply. And I think the sooner we can, it took me longer, but the sooner all can get on board with these ABCs, the quicker we can live with more peace, more trust, and the practical steps, which I'm going to cover here in just a minute, are going to be easier to tackle once we get the mindset down. And this reminds me too of Philippians 4:6. So I'm going to quote this verse. In it, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." And that is something, I love this I love this verse because it points to, first of all, the first thing that really pops out to me when I'm reading this, there's so many good nuggets in that one sentence, is to be thankful. To be thankful for our ability, thankful for our consciousness to be able to tend to ourselves and our daily needs, thankful for the medical tools, the help and the support that we have. It's amazing how we can get up, and once we focus on those, all that we're grateful for and all that is going good, the struggles can be a little less taxing. I think they're easier to swallow and handle once we realize that we are doing and we have what we need. And this reminds me too, this kind of goes back to a memory of wearing a ID bracelet. I know this sounds a little off topic, but trust me here. This is another thing that I used to do when I was much younger. I had a ID bracelet, and back in those days, they were kind of ugly. I'm just going to say it straight up. And I was never very inspired to wear them. I like to, dress up and wear cute clothes. I still try to do that, try to keep my style up. So it was a deterrent for me, even though I know how important the medical ID bracelets are for those around us, and, obviously for medical personnel, if and when we need help, to be able to identify what we need help with. So anyway, if this is something that you wear or are interested in wearing in order to, again, to share and to wear our diabetes without shame, but to do it in a sense of knowing that it's the right thing to do, and that we really need to stay safe. So this is another tool to do that. So I just recently started to wear a medical ID bracelet, and I found a sweet company. It's called Lauren's Hope, and they believe the best medical ID bracelet is the one you want to wear. I love that. So when you can find beautiful and functional medical ID jewelry like they create for us, you can get excited about wearing them and staying safe at the same time. So I will give you a chance. Again, you can click the link in the show notes to shop, and you get to save 20% off your purchases. So I hope you get a chance to check that out. I'm really having fun wearing mine. Again, they're cute. And it's not just bracelets. They have all different types of jewelry, so you can pick and choose as far as what you prefer to wear. So the next part of the ABCs is to commit to sustainable habits. So this is when we get to embrace the daily management of diabetes by recognizing the strength in testing, measuring, and dosing, while still viewing the challenges as opportunities that require us to be determined and to stay strong in this. So sustainable habits, what are those things? And this is funny because most of the time when I first start working with clients, we start with the basics. And the basics are, I'm about to share those three here with you in just a moment. And just as a reminder, all this will be inside the guide that you'll have a chance to download, which are right here in the show notes. So you can do that now while you're listening, because you can keep the app open to the podcast while you're clicking a link. I know I do that sometimes. So you can click and listen at the same time. So make sure that you don't forget to download this free guide. So when we are strong and committed to habits meaning all the things that we all know we need to do on a regular basis. And this is whether you have diabetes or not. That is a true fact. We all know that we need to sleep well, we need to drink water, we need to move our body, we need to eat healthy. Those are all givens. But putting them into a plan, and once things start to roll in a plan, a framework, a routine, whatever it is that you want to call it, it becomes second habit. So that's something that I have built up to myself. And this is what I help clients do as well, is to work these habits into your daily life so that it's not even something that you have to think about or remember to do. It just comes natural. And that's the best. Those are the best ways to bring new things into your life that are going to be sustainable. So sustainable meaning that you can do it, you can keep it going. It's not going to cause you disruption or struggles. It's going to just be natural. The best way, and it's really the best way that I've seen as well. And then once you start doing these regular routine, and you're keeping it up, you're staying strong, you're staying in it. And again, no perfection here. It's just knowing that it's important and that you feel good doing it, feeling good. Once you get this routine set, and then you see the results and your blood sugar responds. It's like a snowball effect. So once you have fully embraced, just to go over the ABCs here, because this is the foundation. This is building your thoughts, your intentions, your commitment to what you need to do as often and as consistent as you can in order to better manage your type 1 diabetes. And these things also play into the fact that it's going to help to nurture your relationships. It's going to help to nurture your focus at work, raising your children, having fun, right? All those things are helped. It's just something that makes these things that you do every day easier to do because there's not going to be those barriers. So I was talking about the snowball effect because it's so true. It is so true. It's like the low-hanging fruit. So the things that are easy to do will become easier. And then when you start to want to take on new habits, or maybe it's bringing in a different type of food, or maybe it's adding in another exercise class, or whatever that looks like for you, your confidence is going to be built because you've seen results. You've seen yourself accomplish the other things that are going and happening and staying consistent. So anytime that you can add on to what your goals are, it's not going to be a barrier. You know that you can do it, and anything else can be done just as easy. Again, some things are easier than others. That goes without saying. But you do have the ability to do this because you matter. So we start here because when these daily habits are fine-tuned, you will not only feel more confident about other things, but obviously your blood sugar balance will be easier to achieve as well. So it, just like I was saying as well, snowball effect, the more that you do well, the more you continue to do well. And your mindset improves and your relationship with diabetes will shift as well. So again, let's try to knock down that wall, break down that barrier to where there's that resistance telling you that you can't, or that it's too hard, or all those things that we just naturally, dwell on, So this is a good chance to do that. So let's start with the first one. And it's to move 30 minutes a day. And this is obviously something we all know we need to do. And, this, again, all of these three things are going to be outlined in the guide. It's going to have very specific action steps and ideas to get moving and such as that. So again, I remind you to download that guide, and you can have all this in front of you. It'll be an easy download. It's something you can print out, save for later, or just refer to it and start, putting these 7 easy ways to get moving into your calendar. Find a way to move and to get it into your routine because it matters. So to move 30 minutes a day. I think the biggest thing about exercise and movement is to find things that you enjoy doing. That's sustainable, right? Anything that we enjoy doing, that again, doesn't have to be something you've got to necessarily put on your calendar because you just know it's going to be part of your day. Because it's something you enjoy doing, you see the results, you feel the results, your blood sugar sensitivity, or I should say your blood sugar balance and your insulin sensitivity improves. There's so many pros to moving every day. So highly, highly recommend you getting that into your own routine. The next thing is sleep. Again, I think I mentioned that these are things that I work on with everybody I start to coach. It's movement, and sleep is the next one for sure. And a lot of people think, oh, well, that's silly. It's just sleep. I can get 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, I feel okay the next day. But, I think we get used to just feeling how we feel without striving to do more or to really focus on it, because it is important. These are important pillars of health. So now, sleep is something that, with good sleep, quality sleep improves our insulin sensitivity. So just as an example, when we have poor sleep, we tend to not feel as well the next day, right? Generally speaking, I know I can have one bad night's sleep and, wake up the next morning and, you can kind of trudge through and make it through the day. Everything gets done. You're functioning. But when that compounds and it's night after night after night of just poor sleep after poor sleep after poor sleep, that really does wear down the body. And then what happens is we don't move as well. There's that first habit that I was just mentioning. And when we don't move as well, our insulin sensitivity goes down. So we may need more insulin. And when we're not sleeping well, we tend to, obviously we're not feeling as well. So if our blood sugar is high, we need more insulin. We're feeling tired. We're feeling a little cranky, which can definitely happen. We tend to make poor food choices. And again, that compounds into insulin resistance. And not to mention that that's going to impact sleep on that night. You know what I'm saying? So this is continuous. All these habits kind of build on one another. So when they're not going well, they build negatively on top of one another. Whereas opposed to when you get them dialed in and you get a routine around moving every day, good quality sleep, and eating balanced meals, they compound in a positive way, right? So think about that too. So again, the more you do and the more you do well, the more you will continue to do well. And that just helps. That just increases your insulin sensitivity. It helps to inspire you. It helps to keep you more focused on what's important on most given days. Again, no days are perfect, but the more that we can put in place and the more that we can optimize, the better we are going to feel and the better our blood sugar will respond. And the final one is eating balanced meals. So we do talk a lot about food, and on my website, I have quite a few articles about balanced meals and recipes and good examples of that. But, that's another part of understanding, isn't it, as well? Because that's something I didn't know back in the day when I was newly diagnosed, is anything really about food or carbohydrates, or how when they are combined with protein and healthy fat options, how much easier it is to control blood sugar and to help prevent a blood sugar spike. Again, nothing's perfect because we're not after perfection here. We're after recognizing what's happening, recognizing what's not working, and then to make the shift accordingly. But food, when we can dial in our food, especially what we have at home, we're cooking more, we are staying consistent with having good, healthy ingredients on board, it makes this a whole lot easier. So that is something that is inside this guide. I give you, I actually have a shopping list of some vegetable, complex carbs, protein, healthy fats, and just some ideas to toss in your shopping cart just to inspire you. And of course, you can always reach out for recipes. I have a lot of those, and I have a software building recipe builder that I love working with, and I love sharing those as well. So again, to get more information about those three things, so daily movement, restful sleep, and balanced meals, and how that can look for you specifically, and to take specific steps. So this guide that I created is going to give you some ideas to get you started, to get these actions or these habits into action so that they can become more sustainable and part of what you do every day. So download the guide right here in the show notes. And you can definitely do that here or when you get done listening today. So just to recap too, our thoughts play a crucial role in shaping our journey. So, and to choose empowering beliefs, knowing that even just those things that I was just sharing with you about the three routines, or I should say habits that you can put into your routine to make them just part of what you do and how you do it every day. It's just so important. And just know that you can do this. Accepting your diagnosis and approaching diabetes management with resilience and dedication will bring a sense of freedom and lead to a fulfilling life. I know I have seen examples of this in myself and the many women that I've coached, and just seeing where they were and where they are now. And, I think the number one thing I get, feedback I get, is just knowing that there's somebody in their corner like myself. And, and in many cases, they have other support around them, whether it's family or other women living with diabetes, which is kind of like what we do in our coaching circle. More information about that in just a minute. But just how important it is for them to stay centered and to lean on help, knowing that we cannot do diabetes alone. So just to wrap it up, this framework, the ABCs, and starting your journey to thrive with type 1 diabetes with simple changes that lead to bigger results. This is how I live, and this is how I mentor my clients. And if you want to find out more about my programs and coaching and how I do it, you can visit my site, Abundant Health with Melissa, and you can contact me here to learn more about my one-on-one coaching and group coaching circle that I have for women. And you can also reach out to me on Instagram. So I'm at Blood Sugar Boss. I love getting messages in my DM. So drop me a message if you have questions or if you're interested in just scheduling a quick call with me to learn more. So, and I want to close with Philippians 4:6 once again, just to remind you how amazing you are and strong, and to not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, and with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. He is there. He is your strength. He is here for you. Lean on him, trust in him, talk to him. That is what I do. And I hope that you can find hope in that as well, and to take those steps. And finally, I'm going to wish you a hope-filled day, and know that diabetes doesn't define you, and to focus on your gifts and your strengths. And we are in here every week. So I will see you back in here next week for our next episode. And please reach out and let me know what you're thinking about our show. And if there's any other topics or guests that you would like to see or hear on here, I should say, let me know. I would love to hear from you. And again, have an amazing day. And until next week, bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Type 1 and Midlife podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. And be sure to check us out at abundanthealthwithmelissa.com for our free resources. See you next week.